The year was 1403. England stood on the edge of chaos. The air over Shrewsbury was thick with tension, the smell of sweat and steel hanging heavy as thousands of men gathered on a field that would soon run red with blood. This was not a war against a foreign power, this was brother against brother, noble against noble, Englishman against Englishman. At the heart of it stood a young prince, just 16 years old, Henry of Monmouth, the son of King Henry IV, a boy destined to wear the crown one day. But that day felt far away. For now Henry was not a king, he was a commander, determined to prove his worth in the most brutal test of all, battle. Across the field stood his enemy, Henry Hotspur Percy, once a loyal ally of the crown, now consumed by anger and betrayal. The Percys had helped Henry IV seize the throne from Richard II, but promises had been broken, trust had turned to hatred, and revenge was now the only language that mattered. On July 21st, the two armies faced each other near the town of Shrewsbury. Over 14,000 men stood ready, armor gleaming under the hot summer sun, banners snapping in the wind. For many of them, this was their first battle. For many, it would also be their last. As the battle began, the roar of war filled the air. Longbows hissed, arrows rained down like a storm of death. Men screamed, horses crashed, steel clashed against steel. In the chaos, young Prince Henry rode at the front, not from a safe distance, not behind walls of protection, but side by side with his soldiers. He believed leadership meant sharing the danger, not hiding from it. And then, in the heart of the fight, fate struck. An arrow, loosed from a distant Welsh bow, sliced through the air and struck Henry directly in the face. It entered just below his eye, driving deep into the bone. The wooden shaft broke, leaving the iron head buried inside his skull. Blood poured down his cheek, blinding one eye. The pain was unbearable. His men cried out, thinking their commander was finished. But Henry refused to fall. Even with the arrow still lodged in his face, he gritted his teeth, stayed on his horse, and shouted orders. His voice trembled, but it carried strength. His soldiers saw not a wounded boy, but a leader who would rather die standing than live kneeling. That moment, that refusal to surrender, became the foundation of his legend. When the battle finally ended, the royal forces had won. Hotspur lay dead on the field, his rebellion crashed. But victory had come at a cost. The young prince, barely conscious, was carried to safety. The arrowhead was still buried dangerously deep, close to his brain. Every heartbeat could be his last. King Henry IV summoned his finest physician, a man named John Bradmore. He faced an impossible task. Removing the arrow could kill the prince instantly, leaving it in would mean certain death from infection. But Bradmore was determined. He crafted a special instrument, a long, slender pair of